Imagine being able to rewatch your favorite TV show with your best friend, who has literally never seen an episode before. That's our premise, and what we hope will set us apart from the other Office podcasts you may have stumbled across. So welcome to Bears Beats Bobbleheads, Talkin' Office, the podcast where three brave souls discuss every episode of The Office, from pilot to finale, and we get a fresh reaction from someone who has just watched the episode for the very first time in their life only hours before. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office, and we are up to Season 2, Episode 12, The Injury, which first aired January 12th, 2006. This was written by Mindy Kaling and directed by Brian Gordon, a new name. All right, let's start the episode, as we always do, by each of us giving our favorite moment from The Injury. Joe, start us off, please.
My favorite part of the whole episode, basically, is the fact that Michael burned his foot on a George Foreman grill.
My favorite part is when they are driving Dwight to the hospital, and he finds Meredith's bottle of booze on the floor of her minivan and wants to start drinking it. And Michael says, "Give that to me or you're fired." And Dwight's response is, "You can't fire me. I don't work in this van." Oh, what about you?
This is so hard. 'Cause I've been going back and forth between two. But I'm gonna land with the when Dwight crashes the car, gets out and pukes all over it, and then gets back in, and Jim goes, "Dwight, you left your bumper."
Well, yeah. We'll find out what your runner-up for favorite was or your other contender was here as we do our rundown. How about that?
That sounds good.
All right, let's get into it then. In the cold open, Michael calls Pam at her desk to inform her that he burnt his foot on his George Foreman grill, as you've already mentioned, Joe, and he needs a ride to work, Paul.
But not from Dwight.
Please not.
Pam, come get me. I can't. I gotta answer phones. Send Ryan. And then Dwight's like, "What's going on?" "I'll go." No, not Dwight. Anyone but Dwight. Oh. And then we get the talking head about why it happened. Oh, my God. So brilliant.
And you had mentioned your favorite moment is actually within the cold open is Dwight crashing his car by running into a telephone pole on his way to get Michael. Getting out, vomiting all over the hood while everybody watches from Michael's office, or the conference room, I believe. Either that or Michael's office, one or the other. I can't remember where. And then gets right back in and speeds away as his bumper flies off. Oh, man. Joe, your reaction to that scene.
There's some pretty good visual humor in this episode, and that is just one of them. Just like, I was not expecting the vomit when I first saw that episode. That put me over the edge laughing.
Yeah, it caught me. I can remember the first time I watched this episode. It's one of those few ones where I can remember the first time watching it. And yeah, that really I'm not surprised that it was your favorite moment, Paul, because, being the first time you've seen it, because it is jarring.
Oh,
like it's whoa!
It's so it's so brilliant. It wasn't even jarring. I was just like, okay, he's getting out. He's acting. Holy shit! He's throwing up. Oh my God! He's getting back in the car, and we're going to talk about this because we know he's concussed, right? We know he's. How fast was he going out of the parking lot? He was in the parking lot. Jesus Christ, Dwight.
When we watch him speed away after, we get an idea of the pace he's going. Like he needs to be there for Michael because his foot's about to fall off.
Oh my God!
But he still wants to come into work.
Oh yeah, he still wants to come into work. Yep. He's not gonna come into work.
Michael enters the office using crutches and his foot wrapped in bubble wrap, Joe, which Jim proceeds to start popping.
Yeah. I think Jim's like, were you shipping this somewhere? Yeah, Michael. So we kind of glanced over. He likes the smell of bacon in the morning, so he sets out strips of bacon on his grill, and then he wakes up, plugs it in, then he wakes up again to the smell, and then he stepped on them.
I want to point out here. He leaves bacon out overnight and then eats it. I want to repeat that. He leaves bacon overnight.
Paul, you're going to be really troubled by Michael's diet throughout this show.
God.
We already know he loves fish fillets. We learned that.
We did learn
or fillet
that.
of fishes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, moving on. Dwight is not okay, Paul.
Dwight is not okay. Dwight's suddenly is like cool. He's getting along with everyone. He and Pam become friends, and Pam's like, "Oh my God, I'm kind of friends with Dwight."
But even before that, like where he still starts sentences and just not finish them. He's fanning Michael's foot with his tiny little fan.
He keeps bringing it down and hitting his toe.
Not even his toe. He's hitting the bubble wrap, and Michael acts like he's being tortured by it, or it's like extremely painful. Because Michael is just a giant baby about this. In fact, he asks Pam to rub butter on his foot, Joe.
You want some butter on my foot?
Well, when he comes in, he asks if he missed anything. Pam's like, "You missed 2 big conference calls with corporate." And he's like, "Did you tell him what happened?" She's like, "No, I didn't tell him you cooked your foot."
The more that they're not taking it seriously, the more angry he becomes. Because he wants all their pity and sympathy, and he's getting none.
And he calls his mother and finds out that his mom talks to Pam.
While he's curled up on a couch in a blanket in the conference room.
Yeah,
like he's on his deathbed.
What's that, Joe?
He looks like a little kid homesick from school.
Yeah, that's exactly how I pictured it. Was a little kid home who was talking to his mom. "No, I'm not going to call Jan."
All right, Paul, you already mentioned concussed Dwight seems to be a really good friend to Pam. Helps her out with the iPod or the knockoff iPod or whatever that Roy bought her because she gave away her iPod to Dwight to get the teapot and Christmas party. Concussed Dwight is also super flirty with Angela, Joe.
Yeah, to the point where she's kind of disgusted by it. I think Angela has a type, and it's weirdo Dwight, not Dwight's only normal when concussed Dwight.
Concussed Dwight, yeah. She's not a fan of it. She's a little taken aback and confused by it for sure. Michael dramatically falls down in the bathroom and asks for Ryan to come in and help clean him up, Paul.
Come wipe him up. Tell him to bring a wet towel. No,
Toby in that scene too. You got to talk about Toby.
Yeah, because Joe, this is also, as you brought up, the ire. I've been watching for it. Not you.
I'm so desperate, but not Toby.
But not you. And sorry, Ryan's dead. No, he's not. I just saw him. Nope, he's dead. He's like, "Why don't you pick yourself?" "Yeah, I'm going to pick myself."
I want to point out this. What I love is the funniest parts of Michael in this first bit or piece we're talking about here up to now are to me almost the scenes where we don't see him. We just hear him. We hear him on the phone in the beginning, and that's hilarious. And now we're hearing him just overly dramatic. Whoa, just falling down in the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, he's stuck between the toilet and the wall.
He needs help getting cleaned up.
Yeah, that's where Toby draws the line. He's like, "Michael, please clean yourself. You only grilled your foot."
Oh my God! Yes.
All right, I think we need to take a break to gather ourselves. But we will come back and we will be talking more the injury here on Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office. We'll be right back. If you're enjoying our Office podcast, be sure to check out Cast That Movie, the podcast where Paul and I, using our superhero aliases, revisit failed cinematic projects from the past. We discuss what went wrong, and then we try to fix the mess by going back in time and recasting the project with a cast we feel would have elevated the material. We also assign a new director/visionary. Because you can never have too much of a good thing, we also conjure up a dream project of something we would like to see made into a film, and we cast that as well. So find Cast That Movie on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, or at our home at thejodown.blog. Welcome back to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office, and we are having a gale time talking about Season 2, Episode 12, The Injury. Returning to the action, Michael confronts the office about their indifference to his, as he puts it, disability, Joe.
Yeah, he's like, well, you know what it's like to be disabled, and so we get Phyllis. She had scoliosis, and he like dismisses it as like a woman issue. And then Creed's like, I spent some time in an iron lung, which I just lost it. He's like, how old are you?
That was the best line. How old are you? And don't leave out Stanley, Joe. Don't leave out Stanley.
Oh yeah, I'm not disabled, and neither are you.
Oh my God, just the writing there by Mindy Kaling, just each character getting just one line to just shine. It's so funny.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But yeah, that's kind of turning into Creed's MO early on here, is he's given like one line an episode. And it's a highlight. It's consistently a highlight, which is why I was such a Creed fan from the start. Like my first time watching him, like, who's this old weirdo?
It only gets better.
It does only get better. Let's talk about Michael's conference room meeting about disabilities. Paul, you start.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, we're going to be in the conference room in 20 minutes. He's got pictures up. Why do you have Tom Hanks up twice? One from Forrest Gump and one from Philadelphia. No, that's from Big. That's him with Rob Biglia. He's still same thing. He was overnight. It's a rare disability. Oh my God. And then they bring in
Billy Merchant. Yep, yeah. Billy Merchant shows up, the properties manager for
the Billy Merchant
Business Park, who is in a wheelchair because he has an actual disability, Joe.
Yeah, and you can tell it's just the way he shuts Michael down at the end of this scene by basically like, I'm out of here, because Michael's kind of, you and I are a lot alike. And he's just like, he sees where it's going. Yeah, this is perfect cringe, because like Michael doesn't realize just how out there he is, and like bringing in a guy in a wheelchair so he can compare his grilled foot.
But just the way he says it to the employees, he's like, yeah, I bet that's the first thing you noticed when he wheeled on in here or rolled on in here. And then he asks him, how long does it take you to brush your teeth in the morning? He's like, I don't know, 30 seconds. He's like, that's 3 times as longer than it takes
me.
And the expression I think it's Jim gives, like trying to do the math.
Oh yeah, the Jim reaction shots, they're always a highlight for sure.
So good. Yeah, that whole thing, and just basically the big fuck you at the end was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and before that, Jim wants to plant Michael's face into a George Foreman grill, because it's just like, it's like one of the few times you see the other people like that upset with Michael. Like he crossed a line with Jim here.
Yeah, it's just the obnoxiousness just reached a point where it's like, dude, stop.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
Billy points out the obvious to Jim. Dwight has a serious concussion, Paul.
He is fucked up. He is not in a good place. And so Jim decides that he needs to take him to the hospital, but it's Michael's on his emergency contact, so Michael needs to do it, but he can't because he has this foot problem, so he can't drive. And then the squirt bottle comes out.
Well, first off, they end up deciding to take Meredith's minivan.
Yes.
And Michael calls shotgun. And Jim's like, well, shouldn't you ride in the back seat with Dwight, make sure he stays awake? And then it cuts to Michael. The rules of shotgun are very clear. Whoever gets shotgun gets to ride in the passenger seat. I think this is the cringe. This is a lot of cringe in this episode, but it's so over the top childish behavior from Michael that it makes it a lot more funny than it does, something you kind of grit your teeth while you watch. Even some of the conference room meeting, for instance, him equating himself to a man with an actual disability. It's just so childish and stupid as opposed to being mean-spirited. I think that's, we talked about how season 2 Michael's different than season 1 Michael in so many ways. The mean-spiritedness, like he's not doing any of this to be mean. He in his mind, he's hurt and he thinks people should care. That's really all it is. And the fact that they find it funny, him being as childish and immature as he is, he can't handle that or process it, correctly like an adult.
Let's also talk about his miraculous recovery too, because he's childish to the point where Ryan has to crush extra strength aspirin and put it in his pudding.
Same thing he does for his dog.
Oh my God, I feel great. I had a miraculous recovery.
And so yes, we are in the minivan, and we get to my favorite moment. Well, actually, before that, I want to go back because I thought it was a really sweet scene. When Pam says her final goodbye to concussed Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
And, Joe, what did you think about that scene? Again, we don't see any kind of tender moments between Pam and Dwight. I think this is the closest we've gotten so far.
Yeah, because he was so nice showing her those Russian websites to download.
It makes sense.
They're all in Russian.
Russian-made iPod she has that Roy got her or whatever. It's a nice tender moment because I think she actually started liking this Dwight, like Dwight not being so over the top and kind of weird and strange. Like I think she's gonna miss that a lot because she has to deal with him every day. So.
Yeah, we talked about like they were kind of friends in this episode. I mean, to the point where Dwight even told her a joke. Like, that's not Dwight. Dwight does not tell jokes. Dwight is super serious all the time. But she knows she can't hold on to this Dwight because he'll probably die.
Yep. And then I also want to get to the point where then Jim is actually concerned. Jim is legitimately concerned for Dwight as well, which I thought was really interesting. And he falls down on the couch, and to wake him up, he grabs the spray bottle. It looked like it was chemical water, and spraying him with this thing.
Oh,
they're going to the hospital anyway, Paul.
True story, Joe.
So yeah, as they're riding in Meredith's van, then this was my favorite moment. I mean, the whole interaction here was hilarious. First off, finding the bottle of booze on Meredith's floor is perfect because it's just you're building the Meredith character without her being in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then him just wanting to drink it, and Michael trying to stop him, and it getting so riled up. And then, of course, the line that I love, you can't fire me. I don't work in this van. And then it gets to the point where Jim has to spray Michael and Dwight alternately because they're both getting out of hand. It's just so funny. The interaction between those three in this scene was just great.
Completely agree. I'll be honest. I was expecting another accident from the way it was going.
At the hospital, we learn for the first time that Dwight's middle name is Kurt, Joe.
Yeah, in the same form, Michael is filling out for him. What's your reason of being at the hospital? And he has to scratch out, bringing my friend to the hospital.
Oh, man, brilliant. Michael asks the doctor, what's more serious, a foot injury or a head injury, Paul?
A head injury.
Yeah, I love the doctor in that scene, how quickly he, without a beat, in between, he's like, a head injury. Just and then Dwight tells his first, that's what she said joke, and it is terrible.
Yeah, because what was it? It was because
his skin is all red and swollen. That's what she said.
That's what she said. The doctor starts laughing.
And then Michael gets so mad. That's my joke.
But I love Dwight's look to the camera after he says that he's so proud of himself, too.
Oh God! And let's not forget that the reason. Let's go back to what you said. We've heard Dwight's middle name is Kurt, and Jim's shocked that he knows that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, how do I know that?
It kind of shows like how long it's a nice little thing because you're working with people. It's just you pick up all this random information about people over the years. So I kind of like that. Jim's just shocked that he knows Dwight's middle name.
And Michael, who's his emergency contact, doesn't. But that's, I guess, beside the point. But Dwight really wants Michael to come in for his CAT scan, Joe.
Yeah, and Michael doesn't want to do it. And he's like, and he kind of goes over the story about how Dwight ran into the pole and got himself concussed. And it's his fault, but he's not saying it. He's not realizing how he's presenting himself to the nurse, who's just giving him the most disgusted look.
Yes, absolutely. Jim informs Pam of Dwight's situation, and Pam decides to share the positive prognosis with Oscar, of all people. But that information wasn't really meant for Oscar, was it, Paul?
No. I thought that was really sweet of Pam, because she notices that when she got the call, Angela was worried, trying to see what's going on, and she didn't want to bust them. So yeah, she tells, "Hey Oscar, I thought you'd want to know." I thought that was a really an awesome Pam moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it was. Anything else you guys want to add, or is that about doing?
Yeah, no, I want to add because
I thought there might be.
Because the other part that was going to be my favorite moment is right at the end. Dwight's going in for the CAT scan, and Michael trying to sneak his foot in. Sir, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop that. Stop that, sir.
Well, the best part is he asked the doctor earlier, and he's like, "Can't you just put like some lotion on it or something?"
Oh my God! Yeah, that was the other one that was the tie. Was that very end where Michael's trying to stick his foot in the CAT scan machine with Dwight.
Wow, this was all right. I was going to say this was such a great episode, but that's what the next segment is for, because we're actually going to take our last break, and then we're going to give our reaction to this episode, as well as naming each of us our favorite character. And I'm super curious to see if this episode makes the previous episode, Booze Cruise, a 1 week top of the chart victor for our noob, Paul, who had seen the injury for the first time today. So we'll be right back to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office and find out all of that.
Hi, this is Paul Muad'Dib, one half of Podcast Above a Convenience Store Talkin' Twin Peaks, which I work on with Joseph Fremming, who's also on the podcast that you're listening to right now. We go through all of Twin Peaks, Season 1, Season 2, the movie, the books. Right now we're digging into Season 3, which will end the podcast with the final dossier, which was the last book that was put out by Mark Frost, putting a cap on everything that's happened in the Twin Peaks universe. So please, check us out. You can find us on the joedown.blog with everything else on here. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. There's no reason why you don't want to listen.
Welcome back to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office, and we are wrapping things up here with Season 2, Episode 12, The Injury. All right, well, first off, my cheeks hurt from laughing so much this last 20-odd minutes, but we need to do what we always do now and talk about our general takeaways from the episode, and we need to name a victor who won the episode. Joe, get us started, please.
Yeah, this one was a no-brainer. This is Michael wins the episode. He's just so this is top tier Office episode for me. It's top 5 or whatever. It's one of those perfect episodes where it's just beat after beat of joke after joke. It's kind of like this is like it reminds me kind of like how 30 Rock is, like joke after joke after joke, and this episode does it. And like again, I was so hard writing notes. I'm laughing so hard. Michael and his cooked foot. So yeah, Michael wins it for me.
I am actually going to pick somebody else, surprisingly, because I've been picking Michael, I think, pretty much every week, and it was razor thin, to be sure, but because Michael was definitely a highlight of this episode, as he seems to be now every episode. Dwight is the victor for me, because the physical comedy and just Rainn Wilson's acting in this alternate concussed Dwight is my favorite part of the episode through and through. So I'm going to give it to Dwight narrowly. And then, yeah, this is a classic. There's really no other way to describe it. I told you guys off air that this is, from what I read, BJ Novak's favorite episode. Mindy Kaling wrote it. I think just phenomenal writing job and phenomenal, way of spreading out material to all the characters. Everybody gets a laugh, it seems like. Even Ryan, speaking of BJ Novak, was pretty funny with, the line about crushing up the aspirin and putting it in Michael's pudding. A great episode. Paul, what about you? First time seeing it.
I have to go with you on that one, Scott. It was Dwight. Michael was up there, but my God, the physicality of Dwight, and just kind of, this one was kind of slapsticky, and just, again, the spray bottle, and I have to go with Dwight on this one.
Okay, and then what is your general takeaway from the episode?
This beat Booze Cruise. This is, if every episode was like this, it'd be, I think I'm hoping it gets, this was just right up there. The fight had me laughing all the way through. This one, I thought Booze Cruise had me laughing all the way through. This one had me laughing all the way through. Like, this was just an amazing, amazing episode. Mindy Kaling should be really proud for writing something this great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get to your favorite character up to date. And it has been from the start Jim, and that has not wavered, although you have mentioned a couple episodes where either other characters are sneaking up on him or his stock is falling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Did Jim do enough to maintain that thrill?
Oh yeah, Jim did enough at the beginning when he puts Michael on the fucking speakerphone so the whole office can hear it. And then the fact that he's spraying Dwight and Michael down in the car. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that didn't change. But I gotta say, like, I am really enjoying seeing the characters evolve.
Mm-hmm.
They're still. It was a landslide in the beginning with Jim. Now it's not far above everyone. No way.
And then just kind of extrapolating on that now, who would you say are the characters that are the biggest threat to become your favorite character?
The biggest threats are actually some of the minor characters. Creed, Meredith, and Stanley. And we haven't seen much of Kevin, but Kevin was up there. But yeah, it's some of the minor characters because it's just every time they do something, it's funny. Like, they are just straight comic gold. Dwight is still a little too jarring of a character for me to fully enjoy as a favorite. Mm-hmm.
And it's just that seriousness, you think, that just makes it tough, or?
Yeah, it's the seriousness, but it's just kind of where Michael is clueless on him being kind of that way. I get the feeling Dwight's kind of, very mindful of just what a fucking prick he is, for lack of a better word. Like, I think he knows, right? Again, there's a reason why him and Angela are together.
All right. Well, I think that does it. We were pretty comprehensive here, and we laughed a lot, but I think we're going to need to put the injury to bed, and we're going to have to put the show to bed as well, per se. But we are going to be back next week, and we are going to be getting into Season 2, Episode 13. It's called The Secret. Don't think I'm spoiling much to say that what happened in Booze Cruise, there's a little bit of a follow-up to that in The Secret. So that's a little teaser there for you, Paul, just a little morsel. And you saw it coming. You predicted it.
I predicted it, yes.
Yep. And so it should be no surprise that your prediction might just bear some fruit. But we will find out, and we will see what your reaction is to it, having watched it the first time next week. And we will all talk about it, as we always do. So, in the meantime, that's Joe, that's Paul, I'm Scott. This is Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office. Join us next week for The Secret. Bye-bye. For more podcasts like this one and general pop culture tomfoolery, be sure to visit thejoedown.blog. That's thejoedown.blog.